Like walking into a dream, someone like what you've seen, so much of an insane. I've been waiting for you, falling into this place, giving you a small taste. Of your after love, feel so stay. You'll be back as soon anyway. I see a distant light. My girl, this can't be right. Such a surreal place to see. So wild if it's got to be. Right to Wally. And when I think of all the places I just don't belong, I'm down the drink with my man, realize this is going too far. I don't belong here. We gotta move on.
What's up, everybody? KG here, coming at you from a very dark room because reality would have it that moments before I go on with my friend today, I experience an internet outage. So I had to drive to another location, set up my laptop that is way subpar to my awesome setup. But when there's a will, there's a way. And today there was a will. That song that you just heard was a request by Jack. He wanted to set the mood. And that was awesome. I was vibing to that as well. I was resonating with the message and I'm feeling good. So today we're going to get into all sorts of topics. We're going to get an update from Jack on where we're at in the Zen project. We're going to talk about Zen NFTs. Are they bigger than huge? We're going to answer that question today. We're also going to get into psychedelics. So I found it fitting. We have the Tree of Life painting over here. My friend actually painted this. So today should be an amazing stream. Thank you all for joining. Allow me to reintroduce my friend, Mr. Jack Levin.
Hey KG, how's it going, dude?
It's
It's
going
been a
good.
while. It's been
It
a
hasn't
while.
been too long.
Too long. In internet time, it's way too long.
It's been like eons and generations of time.
Yeah, dog years, cat years, I don't know. Fruit fly years, probably, right?
Crypto years, you blink and you're already a grandparent.
Yeah, well, sometimes perhaps that's how life is. You blink and you're dead.
Yeah, I mean, to a degree, I mean, depending on where you're standing, right? Because it's all in relation to one another. So to something, yeah, one blink and we're dead. To
Yeah,
us, that could have been my last blink. Who knows? That could have been my last blink. We have no idea.
hopefully not. Hopefully not.
Yeah, hopefully not. I got a lot that I want to achieve.
Yeah, I mean, at least for the next hour,
At
you
least
guys gotta stay alive.
so, man, how's life been treating you? How you been doing?
Life's good. Just came back to Hawaii again. California was getting a little cold, and the family and I just we usually go to Hawaii every winter, and then once the snow falls in Sierras, we go back to ski. So yeah, Hawaii is good because we live on the North Shore of Oahu, and the island itself is like a village, and that's like where we are is a village within the village.
Hmm,
So you feel like you can't really go far, and it's mostly a drive. So a lot of creative work can be done in that sort of setup where your mind is not feeling like it needs to feel in this. You know, there's all those possibilities in the city that you can go and do. But here, it's just the ocean, internet connection, your camera, and your Twitter,
hmm.
and your thoughts. So yeah, yeah, it feels a little different, and it's nice, it's good, different pace.
So is the weather calming, good? How's the weather in that environment?
So the weather actually is constantly changing. So it was raining and windy, and the ocean was angry, and then it gets sunny and super warm, 85 degrees, but it doesn't feel super hot. It feels nice because we live on the hill
Hmm.
facing the ocean, and there's a lot of wind and a lot of airflow, so it feels really good. And there's also a jungle nearby. So yesterday I went on a 2-hour hike, about 5 miles, and it was excellent.
That
So
sounds amazing. That sounds exactly like what I want to be doing right this moment. I mean, of course, talking to you is great, but I mean, beyond that, I would love to get to. Yes, I live kind of surrounded by the woods, so I get that woods experience, but there's something to be said for the jungle, the ocean. It's a brand new natural environment.
yeah, for sure. So what room are you in? It's kind of looks a little bit like from a movie, Interview with a Vampire.
Well, I am in a very unique building, and it's another fraternity and organization that I'm a part of. and it is one that is dedicated to spirituality and philosophy of all kinds. No one religion or philosophy is dominant here. So I'm actually in our library.
Is that like a Freemason type of thing?
It may or may not be.
I see. I see. The plot thickens, so to speak.
It may or may not be.
I knew there was something about you there.
You know, we could probably get into that. I mean, unless you want to get into it, but there's a
Sure,
lot.
we should get into it, of course. Let's get into it.
There's a lot of negative connotations around Freemasonry, and I think that it is grossly misunderstood, and I think it has been demonized by, well, people who like to demonize things.
Yeah, and there's plenty of people like that.
Yep. Because
Sure.
it spawned from a time. Okay. Let's take a little step back. Let's take a little step back. So nobody knows the true origin of Freemasonry, not even the Freemasons. What we do know is that there were stonemasons in history, time immemorial, right? Okay, who built the cathedrals that took 450 years to build? Okay, that was not ever one generation of people. That was generations and generations and generations. So somebody had to have the image in their mind at the inception of the temple. And then that had to be passed down from father to son, father to son, father to son, until it was finally done. That is where it's ultimately believed that Freemasons stem from, because at the time that the temples and the cathedrals and the castles and stuff were being built, you had high level human beings talking about geometry, high mathematics, science, in a time where people were getting burned alive for saying the earth revolved around the sun.
So it's generational type of knowledge that exists, right?
Exactly. And then obviously, the Freemasons now aren't building temples and castles and cathedrals, but the principles that you can apply to your life and interacting with this reality, they carried over.
Right. So now they're mostly work on blockchain, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
There is a Freemason coin, actually. I have no part of it. I don't hold any, but I know it's out there.
Wasn't there a lot of important people who were Freemasons?
Yeah, actually, it's proven that 13 of the 56 signers of the Declaration of Independence were Freemasons. Bonnie Prince Charles, who tried to leave the Scottish rebellion, or he not tried to, did, but failed, was a Freemason. I mean, you look through, there's kings, presidents, philosophers, just really intricate thinkers in society. This seems to be a place where they coalesce.
So I understand the word Mason. When it comes to free, is that free thinking, or what does free symbolize in that word configuration?
Well, I guess going back to the actual Masons, you could say that they had to work for somebody, right? Maybe they owed some lord some debt, and so recognize, this is complete speculation, by the way, being that they could not be in debt and they could practice their art and their science beyond somebody else saying, hey, go swing this hammer for me.
Right.
I think that's probably where it stemmed from.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yep.
Cool. All right.
So I did not think that was coming out today, but there it is. All right, everybody.
There it is. Well, free flowing thought, right? Well, those are the best types of conversations, is when nothing is pre-planned and premeditated, and you just be who you are, and you're okay with it. So that sort of thing.
See, this comment right here is why I get nervous to talk about it.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I hear you, man. I appreciate you being receptive to that. What's up, chat? Good to see everybody. We got a lot of comments coming in, so I can't quite get to all of them. But
well, speaking of free, so I never been on YouTube before. Like literally, that would be maybe my 25th appearance on a stream, and of course, I started my own streams, and so I was researching how and what in the YouTube universe. And one of those things that's the tips, so to speak, that was really resonating with me is that you have to lean in into what you are so that the authenticity goes from the screen to the masses. Uh, Otherwise, if it's pre-planned and premeditated and you have something scripted
Mm.
and you choose a topic that you may or may not necessarily agree with, then the audience actually feels it. So I think the suggestion was to lean in into what you are so that you can be passionate about what you talk about. And that translates into people being more receptive to your message. And also it establishes trust. Because if you trust yourself with yourself, then other people end up trusting you too.
I hear that completely, and that was beautifully articulated because it is very hard, especially in the current society we live in, to be an authentic individual because there's always this person judging you, this person wants to attack you, your friends, your family, your parents, whoever thinks you should be or shouldn't be something. We're always trying, we're in the public eye, so trying to ascribe to some image that we think other people want us to be. But living authentically, like you said, probably the hardest thing to do, but arguably the most rewarding.
Well, I think it's sometimes dangerous to be a heretic
It
or
is.
a person. What is a heretic? It's a person with new ideas, the ideas that haven't been done before. And so back in the day when the human population has been living in villages, 80 people plus, and pretty much that's it. If you're rocking the boat, so to speak, you're maybe ostracized from a village and then you will die by yourself. And so I think we have this genetic programming to worry about who we are and be guarded. Otherwise, we may interact with the social structure in the wrong way, and we end up getting killed by not necessarily anybody's killing you, but people will say, "Well, you're not compatible with our way of thinking, therefore you have to go." And then you have to find your own village, or the next one, or basically go into the forest and fight for yourself and survive. So I think survival mechanism is definitely uh, is within us, and that's what makes it somewhat complex in terms of at what point can you truly be free in your thinking and your expression.
Exactly.
A-
Yes, go ahead, go ahead.
And a good point on other people judging, obviously, because that's actually uh, what's really interesting is that before this conversation, I was listening to Sam Harris. Do you know Sam Harris?
I do.
Yeah, so he's a neuroscientist that does a lot of studies and meditations, and he also talks a lot about psychedelics. And so one thing that he says that's quite interesting is that psychedelics are never boring, but in the context of mind expansion, psychedelics definitely will change your mind for sure. Where the meditation or any sort of spiritual practices may be difficult to pursue because you look within yourself for about half an hour and you don't see much because the everyday mind of a human is kind of runs on the rails. It's very difficult to unhinge yourself
Hmm.
from your established thinking. And with psychedelics, something changes in the mind. Like the switches and toggles, they flip, and you see the world and the reality for something else entirely. And there's also this concept of ego death, and those are strong words. I don't think ego really dies, but definitely it takes a back seat. And so he was exploring the concept of psychedelic use and meditation and mind expansion and spiritual practices. And he had a lot of interesting things to say. And I'll send you the video that I saw after we finish. It's quite enlightening. Yeah.
Well, and on that point, real quick. So you say psychedelics, and now I have my assumptions of what you're referring to. But when you say the word psychedelics, what substances are you referring to specifically?
So there's a lot of substances that could be considered mind altering. I mean, I would actually argue when you're hungry, your mind is altered to seek food, and when you finish eating, you're kind of sleepy and content. So you have altered your mind just with consumption of the food that you eat. Now, is that really a psychedelic? Is that really a drug? Well, it does change your brain chemistry. So some way it is. But the more contemporary view on psychedelics would be, I guess, a class of drugs that are generally being derived from plant medicine. So cannabis, for example, considered to be mind altering with psychedelic properties. But it seems to be widely accepted. Like I know in California, it's pretty much available. There's many states that legalized it for various reasons. Like, for example, fighting anxiety and various other things, like getting better sleep. So, but then there's the others. I mean, there's LSD, obviously, also known as acid, but that was derived uh, from from fungus, I think, that lives on grains. So it's been derived, cleaned, and it's been developed a long time ago by, I think, Sandoz laboratory in Switzerland. Quite an interesting story. Like the person was the scientist. I forgot his name. I just remember that he had a bicycle. So that's why there's like a bicycle day or something like that when it comes to LSD.
All right.
And what happened is that he was deriving substances, and he put one of those vials on his shelf and forgot about it for a while, and then accidentally he picked it up, and it spilled on his hands, and he had the most amazing experience in his life. I mean, he thought he was dead, but what happened is that his mindset has changed so much that everything changed about his life. And he took a bicycle home, and he was cycling through this new universe that he never thought was possible.
Wow.
So that was his first experience with LSD, and then LSD became a known molecule, and people end up synthesizing it for one reason or the other. It was used by the U.S. Army too. The thought was that if an enemy could be subjected to that drug, they would have to say the truth. But they didn't work, actually, because they said everything. They said everything, but not necessarily the truth. So yeah, so that's LSD. Then there's psilocybin, which is one of the active ingredients in mushrooms that just grow, and those were used for spiritual practices for a long while. And of course, the molecule was also synthesized, and now technically you could get powder that is much more potent, and you don't have to eat mushrooms to get the same experience. But the experience is pretty much very similar. And then there's the ayahuasca. And so ayahuasca is, again, traditional plant medicine where you take leaves from one tree and you combine it with the bark, and then you cook it for 8 hours or maybe 16 hours, and it becomes this brown goo. And so DMT, or also known as dimethyltryptamine, is generally inactive by itself, but when you ingest it with this other bark, and I think that bark is called a teacher by the native tribes, that bark actually activates DMT so that it crosses the blood-brain barrier, and that gives you interesting spiritual experiences as well. But all of those classes, lysergic acid is similar class, and then there's the tryptamine. So tryptamine is the mushrooms, and DMT, if you look at their molecular structure, it looks very much like serotonin. So it's like a key that plugs into the receptors of the brain, and they're compatible with the brain. Actually has more compatibility than your own body-made native serotonin, and it changes the way that your brain works. So, but if it was totally not compatible, it would not have worked. Your body would just flushed it, I guess, with urine or something like that, or processed it. But all of the molecules still look very much the same. Like if you put them next to each other, they look exactly like serotonin molecule. So, and that's very interesting.
Yeah, I've lots to unpack there. So, okay. Well, I've actually heard DMT be called the dream molecule and
Spirit molecule.
spirit molecule.
There's also the God molecule, and God molecule is also DMT, but it's called 5-MeO DMT. So number 5 MEO DMT. That one actually is secreted by the skin of toads
Oh,
from
that's
the
why Joe Rogan's licking the toads. Like
yeah, except you don't lick it. You're there's I mean now they make it in the lab,
okay.
but the traditional way to collect 5-MeO DMT was to catch a bunch of those toads and that squeeze them on a piece of glass and have this residue dry up, and then you use like a razor to collect it, and that becomes something that you can vaporize technically. Now, I've never done it personally, obviously, because it would take a while for me to go out in the desert and find the proper toad and do all those things. But there's plenty of material available where they actually show you how it's done, like on YouTube.
Okay, see, all right, so I do have a few questions. So this is one thing I think a lot about with psychedelics is like, okay, well, for mushrooms, Terrence McKenna has the interesting stoned ape theory, which I thought seems logical. But for things like that, like who was the first human that was like, I'm going to perform this process with the toad? Like how did we get from point A to point B with that stuff like that?
Well, the toad I understand because people were eating everything, in mushrooms too. What's quite more complex is the ayahuasca or DMT uh, process, because you need to find two different plants. They're completely different, and you get leaves from one and then the bark from the other,
Oh,
and
I
then
see. I
and then you
see.
combine it. And so there was an interview with like the people who do it, and traditionally they were told that it is the plants themselves told them how to do it. But I could totally imagine that once you're high on DMT, your sense of time is completely off, so you don't know what's past, what's future.
Sure.
And it's quite possible that you would imagine that the plants told you, and you would be right, because you don't exist in time anymore. So whether the future told you or the past told you or the present is telling you, it's completely irrelevant what the cause and effect was. And that's what's interesting about psychedelics, is that the cause and effect is completely removed from the traditional human understanding. So, like, imagine a universe where there was an effect and no cause. Would there be an effect? This is something that human mind cannot understand in the traditional sense. But on DMT and psilocybin and LSD, I would assume that those things are quite possible. And so you get this perspective that's completely new. Like, what if you had no body, and what if you did not need to survive? What would you be? But you still had a mind. How would your mind then evolve in the absence of the physical environment? Like, could you imagine? That could be a very interesting thought experiment.
You would you may not progress in the dualistic knowledge because there is no more, like, right, the our five senses are our measuring tools for our perspective. Like, I'm drinking water, that feels good, it tastes good. I'm touching this table, oh, it's hard. But without that, I would just there would be no classifications. There would just be it's like without the physical body, without the physical, you have just singularity. If you have yin and yang without a body, it's just whatever is encompassing yin and yang. It's above that, it seems.
So that's how I feel when they say ego death. What they really mean is that the altered perception of how you process reality. So all of the measuring tools are gone, and the raw consciousness remains. And a lot of people will never experience that, because that technically means that you're not in this reality anymore. And that changes your mind. And I would say actually probably would give you a lot of creativity. Like, if you had a glimpse into something that isn't even measured by time, does it mean that you ever leave that place? If you exited the time and you even went there for a second, but that second is infinite, do you ever get back?
Well, time. Okay, I heard this. One of my good friends said this. Matter matters to matter. time only exists when you have one physical thing comparing itself to another physical thing. Beyond that, there is no time. There is time to us because we say, hey, we're revolving around the sun, or we try to say, oh, 4 billion years since the creation of the universe. Whatever the narrative is, time only exists when you compare one physical event to another physical event. If we stopped comparing, there would just be.
Right. So without measurement, there is no time.
Exactly. We
Right.
impose time on existence. Sure, we
And
could say
so
30 minutes, but it's like 30 minutes to what? 30 minutes because we said 30 minutes.
exactly. So let's say that you went into that space for just a second, and you bring back this infinity with you into the place where you measure things. Wouldn't we think that now we have this infinite within us that can be applied to the measurement itself, or at least you bring this sort of extra open-mindedness into the things that may be possible? And I would say that humans naturally specialize in things. Let's say that you live your life and you measure things over and over again. So, and then ultimately you say, well, there's a million things I could measure or judge. But for me to be functional within the society and actually make an impact, I should really be just measuring this one thing that I know how to do best. And so that, I would say, establishes your or aligns your ego towards an action. So you become a doctor, or a lawyer, or anyone out there. I mean, literally, society wants you to be specialized, because the the planet we're on, it's kind of like this large organism, and if you're not useful in what you do to the totality of the human experience, then you're, I guess, rejected or ejected. And so naturally, in our genetic code, the body wants to be specialized and be good at something specific. But I also feel like for the mental evolution to actually take hold, there needs to be people who are thinking outside of the box. And those are the heretics, right? Somebody like Elon Musk, technically, or maybe Steve Jobs too, because those people change the paradigm of thinking and work with the measuring system itself. And the measuring system, you could imagine, is like a matrix, right? So Matrix, the movie, you live within the system, you serve something, and you're given things to do. But if you're an architect with the same matrix, you're actually establishing the parameters of the measuring system itself, right? And so there are some rare people among us that actually see the matrix and see the measurement system for what it is and expand its functionality, potentially. And you can imagine, okay, so electricity comes from the sun or can come from the sun, but it comes from some sort of a combustion energy conversion. So Elon Musk is working with the sun, with the solar panels, converts this energy into electricity, and then gives us a car that we can put our body in and then travel around the world. I mean, not the whole world, but
Sure.
enough.
Yes.
And so that is a new paradigm because it's really never been done well before. So, but it's still, if you think about it from a million-mile view, it's somewhat primitive. Energy is always there. He's just derived a better way of harnessing it into something that's useful.
That's an amazing point you just said. Everything that anybody invents or comes up with, we didn't invent it, we discovered it. It's already all out there. Like there's you may know this idea called the Akashic Records, that it's the idea that all knowledge is already there. You just have to access it. So
I have routinely look into a book of Akashic records pretty much every morning.
okay, so then you know exactly what I'm talking about. Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich and a bunch of other awesome books, he called it the storehouse of infinite intelligence. I also like that description of it too. And that these types of conversations, this type of seeking that we're doing and others are doing, is we're trying to ultimately access that storehouse of infinite intelligence, and we're all just one feature or one manifestation of infinite intelligence. And when you're talking about specializations, I think that there look, I could be wrong, but I think that there is probably no reality in which any one person is the best at everything, because we are all expressions of the everything, and we are fractalized or crystallized light. And so each one of us being our own crystal, we all play our part. We're all part of the code, but each part of the code can't be the other part of the code. Otherwise, the code wouldn't be the code. So no one person can be the entirety of the code except the code itself. And I'm trying to not say the word God, but I just like, that's what you ultimately, it's like just the best word that I can possibly use to describe what I'm trying to say.
So how do you become the code itself?
Reintegration with it, I suppose. Maybe. Like
Well,
Neo at the end of the third, he becomes he becomes full light at the end.
right. So I think the way to become the code is to align yourself with the will of the universe, so to speak.
Mm.
So the universe itself is intelligent. So the laws of physics that were given in this reality is intelligence itself, cause and effect. That's actually the first building block of intelligence. You drop a stone, it's really falling on, down on the planet. You think there's no intelligence there, but anything that has a cause and has an effect is something that we could measure, is a building block of the greater reality.
Is it
Which
1
is,
or 0?
oh,
Is
it's or and between 1 and 0 there's infinity.
True. Sorry to interrupt. That's
So
what
yeah,
I'm thinking of.
yeah, it's good. And so I think for anybody to achieve their purpose, if there's such thing, is that one needs to align itself with the universal will. And being aligned with the universal will is like, for example, okay, so there's gravity. There isn't anti-gravity at this point. So you could be aligning yourself with anti-gravity all you want, but it's just not going to align, right?
Sure. Go to
So
space, I guess.
I mean, yeah, you could do that. But I think if you were to work with the measurement system within the environment that we're in, then one should understand the basic building blocks and potentially form your actions based on the most compatible things that the human civilization can have.
I hear you completely. Like an analogy I use all the time is, and actually me and my father, this is kind of coming from him, but we get into the argument. I'm like, when there's a will, there's a way. If I can see it in my mind, I can hold it in my hand. And it's like, that's true, but that doesn't mean there's always a will. Like, am I ever going to be Michael Jordan dunking from the free throw line in the middle of a game 7 NBA game? No. Can I be? Arguably, but the will isn't there. Because like you said, I recognize that I am not 6'5", highly athletic, specialized Michael Jordan. That's just not me. But my desire, my alignment with universal will is not to dunk from the free throw line. I have different alignments. So then that becomes the question. This is the question that it leads to then. Is there free will? Or can we only become aligned with our path as set forth for us?
So the answer, I believe, is complex. And Sam Harris says there is no free will. But I don't entirely agree. The way that I see free will working is that you have and it actually comes from quantum physics and from Einstein, the localization. Within a local environment, if you want to pick your nose, you have the free will to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah. However, within the scope of reality, can you pick your nose in a way that you can't?
Exactly. Whether I choose to pick my nose or not right now, I was always going to pick my nose or not.
Well, not specifically always, but the implementation of that would be specifically exactly how the universe designed it to be.
I see. I see. I see.
So you cannot go beyond the implementation.
Right. So we may not know that. I guess we may not know what the ultimate outcome is going to be, but still in every moment we have to make our choice. And
Yeah.
that's where so it's like a mix of both, really.
So you cannot not make a choice,
Right.
but the quality of the choice that you can make within the scope of the local perception is entirely up to you.
Okay. Yes, that's where I fall myself is on that. I don't want to say both. I don't know the right word, but it's they are kind of both at play, right? It's because it's our subjective and objective perspectives, maybe, where objectively there really is no free will, but subjectively there completely is. Like right now, I'm going to reach over here. I want to pick up this water bottle. But to the objective perspective, might have always done it in that way because
Right.
I am who I am. My filters are my filters. And so me being KG is going to pick up that water bottle in the way that KG is going to pick up that water bottle.
Right. And you can't, for example, will the water bottle to float towards you. You have to use your hand. So that's where the absence of free will can be also be expressed, because that would be outside of this universe capability at this point. So you don't have a choice of how you do it, but you have a choice whether you're going to do it or not.
Exactly right. And then that brings up another question of some claim you can, some, can you perform telekinetic acts? There are people that claim you can. Now, I've never seen it, so I can't validate it with my own physical measuring tools, but
That's how pyramids were built?
some say.
Some say.
Some say. Some say mammoths, some say pulley systems, some say alien spaceships. We have no idea how those things were built. We're still trying to figure that one out.
Very interesting. Yeah, for sure.
Well, all right, I could talk about this all day, but I know, and we can definitely circle back, but I see the chat's blowing up. People do have Zen questions as well. And, for those that think, hey, they're completely off topic, what the heck are they talking about? We're just having discussion that what we believe is potential truths in this reality. We may believe them more firmly than others, we may not. But this channel, this show, we're here to express open-minded ideas, and we are willing to discuss any perspective. And this is also important, in my opinion, when getting into crypto or really any sort of business or investment or just whatever you're doing with other humans, knowing these types of things about them. Because look, there's thousands and thousands and thousands of crypto. How many cryptos do you get to jump on stream and hear the founders talk about their perspective on the nature of reality, psychedelics, free will? This goes into the philosophy and ethos of the very project that you're taking part of. Now, with all that to say, where are we at? Last time we talked, we didn't Zen NFTs were not in play. They just weren't even a thing. Tell me about them. What are they? What are we looking at?
Sure. So when Zen contract was designed, we immediately thought that people should be building applications on top of Zen, or to use Zen as currency, cryptocurrency. And so the proof of burn mechanism was implemented within the code. So it didn't come later. It was there from the inception.
That's staking, right?
No, proof of burn is a standalone function that allows you to send Zen back to the contract and burn it.
Oh, okay.
From another contract.
Okay.
Now, staking does burn Zen, but it mints it back again. So that's a higher level order function.
Sure.
When it comes to proof of burn itself, the initial idea was to have a proof of burn NFT, where if you were to mint a lot of Zen or you acquire Zen by any other means, then you can then interact with another contract that talks to Zen contract, sends your Zen from your wallet into the burn function and then mints the verified on-chain digital certificate that you have done that action, which can be in the form of NFT. I have burned 10 billion Zen, and that becomes its own token, which is what it is. ERC 721 is NFT. And so that technically transfers the ownership of Zen from from your wallet, from a token that's ERC20 into ERC 721. And it destroys Zen in the process. It's irreversible. But now whoever could be buying this ZenFT from you with the proof of burn knows irrefutably that you have had Zen before, you have burned it, and technically you have loaded that Zen into this new NFT.
Mm.
And so that's the proof of burn aspect of the contract, which is Zen, and also the ZenFT. That's the part of it. The second part is the bulk minting automation, where you can specify the VMUs, virtual minting units. With this NFT, you could instruct the Zen contract to treat your NFT as if you're using 100 wallets. And so you would get future Zen mint by holding the ZenFT times 100. Now your future Zen mint could be 400 days out. And within 100 days or 200 days, you could change your mind and put up your NFT for sale. And so the person who buys it from you now bought your past action where you locked in all of the Zen amplifiers and will receive future Zen mint from that ZenFT when it comes due. So the mints, the future mints in the past action becomes embedded into a contract, which is the NFT, which can be freely traded.
All right. Let's cycle back a little bit. So, is there two NFTs? I can do a native stake through an NFT, and I can burn through an NFT, or is there only one?
At this point, these NFT categories and series and classes we're releasing are specifically multi-mint.
Okay.
So you have a choice to specify one VMU, virtual minting unit, which is the equivalent of an address in a wallet.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can specify up to 100, whatever fits the block. And that actually requires Zen burn to initiate. Now, there are some classes that are very rare, require 10 billion Zen to be burned, which is about $60,000 in today's market cost for Zen. And there's only 10 million, which is about $6 or $60. Yeah, it's $60. But depending on the Zen's price and Zen's value on the market, those numbers can change in dollar terms.
Sure.
And the proof of burn is the guarantee that you have had Zen before, you have burned it, and now you have an option to bulk mint or use the VMUs, which is basically an automation to get more Zen later.
Something's not clicking for me.
So Zen is like fuel.
Okay.
Like imagine you're charging your Tesla, and
Okay.
you need to travel 500 miles, which is possible, I guess.
Okay.
So the first thing you need to do is you need to charge it up. So you charge it up with Zen. Now it has the capacity to travel.
And the Tesla being the NFT in this case.
Exactly.
Okay.
So now it has the capacity to do it. And that's the code, the programming behind it. But once you travel 500 miles, and let's say that the travel 500 miles is actually days, you will get more Zen later. So the contract itself will mint more Zen for you or let you mint it in the future. And the future is, in this case, I'm using distance. So first you need to fuel to actually start moving. And then as you move and the burn that you made, you will be able to make more Zen later. So burn now, mint later. But you can also give up your Tesla halfway and say, okay, I'm done with it. I'm done with traveling. It's not my thing. You give it to someone else, and that someone else can buy it from you for the amount of Zen that will be minted in the future, as well as the Zen that you have burned. when you charged it first. So there's two elements. The burned Zen definitely has value to you, and you loaded it into a car or into an NFT. And then the future Zen that's coming also has value. But while holding NFT before maturity date, you're in this in-between state, kind of like a Schrodinger cat,
Mm.
neither dead nor alive, and yet has potential to make more. And definitely the action of creating the NFT required the burn, so the value is there too.
So is this NFT going to replace native Zen staking?
Staking has nothing to do with it.
See, because to me, it sounds like because if I'm burning the Zen to get the NFT,
right,
and at the end of the NFT's life, I'm getting the Zen back out.
but it's not the same Zen.
What do you mean?
So Zen Mint can be initiated anytime, any day you want.
Okay.
With any parameters that you want. Like, for example, you can say that I am minting Zen with 100 VMUs for 400 days. Or you can say, that's not what I'm doing. I'm doing 10 VMUs for 10 days. So if you do 10 VMUs for 10 days, the formula will produce less Zen than 100 and 400 days.
Sure.
And so that's your, I guess, expression of your will, is that you could do this or do that. It will cost you more gas to go with 100 VMUs. Days don't matter. The gas will not be higher if you extend your horizon longer, but it will definitely be higher if you implement more VMUs. And so the Zen burn is really Zen burn. It's not staked. It really goes away, disappears. It lets you mint the new NFT that will give you the capacity to mint more of Zen later. So that's how that works.
So when I go into a Zen NFT, let's take the 10 million one.
10 million.
Yep.
$60.
$60. So I burn my 10 million Zen, which creates the Zen NFT. And then am I still defining time parameters?
You are, absolutely.
And so I can customize that, or is there set time parameters?
Every NFT will be customized by a user, however they like.
So the amount cannot be, but the time parameter can be.
Well, the amount is, what is the amount in this case? VMUs? VMUs are custom made. So you can say 1 VMU or 100 VMUs, whatever you want.
Okay.
But the Zen amount that you burn cannot be changed. It has to be 10 million.
And how do I select? Okay. Let's circle back to VMUs. Tell me one more time what VMUs are.
1 VMU is one wallet address.
Okay, understood.
If you use 100 VMUs, virtual minting units, they're virtual wallet addresses. They execute as internal transactions that you do not see, and neither do you care. But at the end of the day, the NFT with 100 VMUs is an equivalent of somebody doing 100 wallet addresses, minting Zen.
So you can do up to 100 VMUs or 100 wallet addresses, can put their power into one Zen NFT.
Exactly.
And so do they each have to mint? So can they all together do the 10 million? Can each one do 10 million? And
you only pay 10 million once.
Okay.
It's like a payment towards the blockchain to actually mint the NFT for you.
Gotcha.
So the blockchain takes Zen from you to mint more in the future based on the parameters you specify. Now, technically, let's say that it's 100 VMUs and it's 400 days. So here's the calculation. 1 VMU makes about 50,000 Zen per day, every day. Sometimes more, sometimes less, based on the network activity. But technically, it's on average, let's say 50,000. So 1 VMU, 50,000 Zen per day, times 400, which is a long-term mint. So what's 400 times 50,000?
50 million.
Okay. And that's just 1 VMU.
Wait, 500,000? Yeah, 50 million. Okay. Oh no. What's more than that? It's 200 million.
Hold on. Where's
Yeah, I
my
think it's
calculator?
200 million. Final answer. 200 million. Final answer.
Okay, so let me just double check.
Yep.
'Cause,
Double check.
all this talk about alternative realities and stuff makes me a little glitchy. Yeah, so it's actually 20 million, not
Ah,
50, 20.
dang. Okay.
So 20 million for one VMU in 400 days. Now let's say that you have selected 10 VMUs. Now it becomes 200 million. What if you select 100 VMUs? Now it's
You got
2
the
billion.
I'm not
Now
trying.
it's now it's 2 billion. So your NFT that you paid 10 million Zen to start will yield 2 billion in 400 days.
So, okay, so no blessing is curse free. So, what is it the gas cost to implement more VMUs? Like what's
It's the gas cost. One
okay,
VMU is $3 on the weekend.
I see. So you have to weigh out if you okay. And so can I on my Zen NFT, can I put it out for as long as I want, or is there a maximum time constraint?
Maximum time constraint. And
Okay,
it grows with the C rank. As the actually G rank, as G rank grows, global rank,
right.
the time horizon extends.
Okay, so you as the individual, if you're doing this to, hey, I want to make money on a Zen NFT by actually yielding the Zen when it comes out, selling the NFT, that's a whole nother level of speculative potential value there. But you would have to say, hey, the $300 gas cost plus what the actual Zen that I'm inputting into the NFT, I have to think that I'm going to come out with more on the other side. But if you said right now 10 billion Zen is approximately 60,000 market value, then 2 billion would be, I'm messing up on my math today, but 10,000 ish.
Here's the thing to remember. Like, why would anybody want to do it?
Exactly.
That is the inception question,
Of
like, so
course.
to speak.
Yes.
So there's almost three answers. One is that you get to bulk mint without needing to click your wallet button 100 times. You just do it once with one transaction. So the automation helps you to make more Zen, because 100 VMUs is an equivalent of 100 wallet addresses that will make more Zen for you with one transaction. So that's always useful because you save a lot on time. That's one. Number two, when you hold the VMU, when you hold the NFT, it's a portable representation of the future mint. I can make one and give it to you. It will land into your wallet. And now you have the rights to mint. So the future mint becomes portable rather than being locked into the owner's wallet like it is now. Like, you can't give your future mint to me from your wallet without giving up your seed phrase.
Right. Same conundrum in the Hex native stake versus the HSI wrap stakes. It's the same conundrum.
Right. And so NFT wraps the future mint virtually and makes it portable. So now it could be sold on OpenSea. So if I didn't want to mint or initiate the mint myself, I could go to OpenSea and buy some NFTs for myself, buy as many as I like. But they all have future value. So it's like futures in the financial markets. You know how, like, the future oil futures work? You can't get a spot oil price. I mean, you can look at it, but you cannot get it because the oil delivery can only come in a month. So you generally buy next month's futures for oil. In this particular case, you have daily futures with ZenFTs, where you can buy the futures for the value of Zen in the future that will definitely show up in your wallet once you're done minting.
So is anybody incentivized anymore to native stake? What would be the
We're not even talking about staking right now.
no
Minting is not
no okay, sorry. Well, you're right. Okay. Well, hold on. But because to me, this seems like, and I could be, you understand it way better than me, obviously. But to me, I'm looking at this as like the Zen NFT is another way to do Zen staking. Because in Zen staking, you burn your Zen for X amount of time. And then at the end of it, you get more Zen minted. So it's basically like I'm choosing, am I going to Zen stake or Zen NFT? Right? Or is that not a fair comparison to make?
It's not a fair comparison, though Zen staking burn does burn Zen. It carries a record that will allow you to remint it later, for sure. In this particular case, we're talking about minting fresh new Zen, completely fresh. It didn't exist before.
I see well, and you're doing that in staking too, though, right? Because the rewards are fresh Zen that didn't exist before.
But that's the rewards. We're not talking about the yield. We're talking about fresh mint of Zen that never existed. Now, the yield with staking is based on the amount of stake you have made,
Okay.
which runs the burn function, but only for the time of stake. Then it remints everything back to you. So, which is not the same as fresh mint.
Okay, I understand the outcome, but looking at it from a perspective of, and obviously, look, not financial advice. We're just talking game theory here. No guarantees, all that good stuff. But from
Yep.
from an investor standpoint, or I'm not sure what the naming convention in your system is, but if I am somebody that wants to utilize either the staking function or the Zen NFT function, regardless of like what the contract says those functions are called, in both systems, I put some Zen in, I get more Zen out, regardless of what the naming conventions are.
Right. Except with staking, you don't pay extra gas because future Zen requires like this 2 billion Zen that's coming later. It actually requires a lot of gas. Where with staking, you already went through the motions of creating all that, and the staking gas cost is minimal because you're just staking it for yield. So Zen is working for you, where in this particular case, the blockchain actually makes more Zen for you. Like literally, all of those VMUs, they're working very hard. They're like CPU cores that are running in parallel.
So do we have an S load function at play here?
We do not.
Okay. So I asked that question because in Hex, you have the same kind of constraint of, or not constraint, but feature of, there's like the days come into play. So in Zen system,
Not only days though. With Hex, it's not just the days, it's the days plus all of the activity within the Hex universe that happened within those days as well. That is why the S load function and unstaking of Hex is so expensive, is because it needs to account for everyday variations. So as more and more people come, or when people stake and people leave, and it can happen randomly, the data array that's created within the Zen contract accounts for the variation of yield. And you know how yield is shared with Hex?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. So that is why that function exists. So, and that is why when you have the longest amount of days, you have the most data to crunch.
Sure.
Where with Zen, it's you, yourself, and you, so to speak, where it is not relevant what's happening with the stakers or the minters. The only thing that's relevant is how many days you have been minting for. And then the function has no any sort of introspection into the past, because all of the amplification parameters are locked at the time of the inception of Zen. Inception meaning that you clicked mint button, and now you have locked in the parameters. They repeat every day. There's no change. Where with Hex, they all vary every day, so they need to be accounted for, and that's what creates computational load. But I have a window open right now. We can look at how all those things look.
By all means, please.
You want to see it? Okay, let's see.
And I don't bring up Hex to say like, oh, which is better. This isn't a comparative debate for me. That's my closest framework of understanding and trying to relate to what you're talking about. So that's That's why I'm bringing that up there.
Yeah, I mean, there's no need for that disclaimer. We're just being technical here.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. Exactly. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
So while you pull that up, I'll ask. So just to confirm, to wrap that all together, there is a time consideration to factor in, because what you're saying is it is going to take more gas. It depending on how long you
Not how long. The
no, not
time's irrelevant. Remember at the beginning of our conversation, we agreed that time doesn't exist.
yeah.
So the only thing that matters is the VMUs. That is what drives the cost of gas. Time doesn't.
So is it I know there's the upfront gas cost, but is there an exit gas cost as well per VMU? Is it the same?
It's half.
It's half. So technically, in the $3 example, it would be $450 if I maxed out my VMUs.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Something like that. So anyway, looking at my screen here. So this is the XeNFT tab on this URL. And you can see we have info, mint, stake, and then XeNFT. So when you click on XeNFT on the testnet URL, testnet for that Zen that network, that's what you get. And right here, I have different ways to view this. So those are my XeNFTs right now. And you can see this one, it's kind of hard to see, but this one says redeemed. That means that I have minted with that XeNFT. I have made more Zen. And then this one does not have that little stamp, which means it's still going. It has about 3 days to go. You can see 3 right here.
Oh, that's beautiful.
But then going back to this view, take a look at those two red ones.
Yep.
So they have a C rank. And I have made them one after another. So 080, 089, and 810. Those are the C rank numbers that belong to this NFT.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all different by one. But those two still can be claimed because they're due. And they have one VMU. You can see the one right here. And they have a term of 1 day. And I made them a couple of days ago, so they're due to be minted. And then this is the VMU column. So I can even sort by VMUs, and you can see some of them have much more power, and they cost more gas, 128 VMUs. And then the term days, you can see this one is a long-term one, 331 days. So it will make the most Zen later. But let's go ahead and do the claim of one of those. So first, I'd like you to take a look at this number. This is 36 million Zen, and it's on a testnet, so you can see girly testnet right there.
Is that your wallet or Global Zen?
It's my wallet. It's my wallet. This is the wallet. It's connected to this Zen right here, or it represents what's in my wallet.
All right.
Let's see. Does this open? Yeah, it does. So this is my girly Zen, and
so even after you mint against your Zen NFT, you still retain the NFT.
You do. Yeah,
Cool.
it doesn't get destroyed because you want to keep a lot of people asked, can I keep my C rank? Because I was like, woke up early, camped in front of the blockchain, so to speak, and I got my vanity C rank. Can I keep it? And this is the way to keep it, is that you keep the story with you.
Absolutely. It's the memento. I got it. That's cool.
So 36 million. Let's see if it actually increases. So if I click claim, and you can see it says mint to this address.
Oh, you can mint. Can you mint to any address?
Yeah.
Wow. Look at that.
Apparently you can. You can. This is my test address, so you can mint it to your friends or to whoever you want.
Nice.
Which is cool, right?
Yeah.
And that's, by the way, how 1inch works. You can do 1inch swaps between addresses.
Wow.
So we click.
You deleted because you deleted the middle.
Oh yeah. So let me refresh this so that it just reloads. And sometimes testnet could be a little slow, so let's give it a little time to wrap its brain. into what's happening. Okay,
Oh,
there
you're
we go.
good.
Refresh. Okay, claim, redeem. So this thing shows up, and this number obviously would not be the same because it's testnet. But if I click confirm right now, so right now it says processing. Eventually this will go away, and technically this number 36 million will increase. So what I'm doing, you see what it says: redeem XeNFT and mint Zen. This is the action right here.
I
You see
see.
that?
Yep.
So this is an equivalent of using your regular wallet to actually get that done. But I'm using XeNFT to do it. And so once it's done processing, this Zen that will, so it's 36,155,000, so it should change. So we'll see if it changes.
Okay. And do you get to see here on anywhere the amount of Zen that you're going to get?
So the UI is not quite yet ready, but we will show the estimated amount that you're making. Because you can't quite know exactly how much you will make because the formula to compute it is linked to the network activity. So did this change? I think it did.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it added.
Because I think you had 35, 5.
Yeah, it was 35. So it added like something.
And real quick here, I'm going to make a shameless plug because, we're building a wallet, and very soon after version 1, we're going to have NFT integration. So I definitely want to work with you and see what we can do to maybe make Zen NFTs viable in the internet money wallet.
Of course, that would be great.
See if we can do something there.
Right. So let's go ahead and actually let's imagine that none of this exists, and we're gonna click on Mint News NFT. So that's the interesting part. So first of all, what the category we're looking at is a collector category, and there's 3 categories. This is the Apex category, and within the Apex category, you can actually have Zunicorn, exotic, legendary, epic, and rare. And what happens is that it actually tells you how much Zen you have to burn.
Oh, wow.
And so if I switch from rare to epic, I just went from 50,000 to 100,000, 200,000, 500,000. Now, those are the testnet numbers. I already published what the numbers will be. They're going to be in billions. So Zunicorn will cost you 1 million to burn. So let's say this. Those are my VMUs.
So max is 128?
128 is max on Ethereum. I say 100 just because it's a round number, but 128 is possible. That's the max.
Okay.
So I can set 128, and I can also say 3 days or 100 days. And what we will have here, actually, the futures and mint number 2. So when you change those numbers, the futures then will appear in this form, so that you know exactly how many days and how many VMUs. But I can also go for 50 VMUs like this. And it switched to a collector. And the reason why it switched to a collector, because Apex absolutely requires at least 100 VMUs.
Oh, wow.
It requires it. Otherwise, it's not rare enough.
That's cool. I like how you've gamified that, right? You've given it collector value because you're not going to have a bunch of people apexed Zunicorn.
Yeah. We wanted to cost enough gas and for people to have enough Zen to burn to make it rare enough to have value on the NFT market. And so
Sure.
let's go ahead and mint this one. So this one is going to be number 14. And this number is limited to 10,000. So after 10,000, no more Apex category at all.
Oh, wow. Regardless of what series you are. Oh, no, there's 86 left there. Interesting.
So this one is Unicorn. And then if I go to the next one, it says that many left. Those are the subcategories. So series are subcategories. If this is a category, then the series is a subcategory.
Sure.
So see how so there's less and less rarity. So legendary is only 2,000, epic is 3,000, and rare is 4,000. But the most rare one, the unicorn variety, Zunicorn, there's only 100.
Wow.
And they require you the most Zen burn. So this million is going to be 10 billion in the real world.
I see.
But for testing, we're keeping it low so that people can actually have enough Zen to play with.
Sure.
So first we approve the burn. So we click approve, MetaMask shows up. And in MetaMask, if I click edit permissions, it tells you that it's asking you to create a spend limit.
Sure.
That much. So I'm good with that. And I'm going to click confirm. And so now it says approving. Does it remind you of anything, this whole process?
Maybe.
Uniswap.
Okay. Okay. Exactly. Right. Right. Because you're giving the contract permission to access your Zen.
Right. So generally NFTs are JPEGs. Our NFTs are just like Uniswap NFTs are SVG files. They're small files that live on chain. So you know how Richard always complained about JPEGs being potentially changed anytime you want? This is impossible with SVG files because they live on chain.
Wow.
So
It's pretty cool, man. Like I like that. I like the parameters you set here. That's very creative thinking.
yeah, thanks.
And
Yeah.
one moment, I have to step away. I have to use the restroom. I'll be back in like 60 seconds.
Me too, actually. So we're gonna wait for this to approve, and
Okay.
then we'll come back and we'll restart.
All right. Be right back,
60
everybody.
seconds. Zindugation is asking, have you guys seen Uniswap new NFT marketplace? Yeah, Uniswap new NFT marketplace is a pretty cool way to connect with NFTs on Uniswap. Check it out.
Welcome back, everybody. Hey,
Jimrad's in the house. He says, "Play a song, you jerks." It's actually a good point. Anytime we go to the restroom, we should like turn on the song.
sorry. Yeah, I was thinking about it. I was like, man, I need to start streaming from the toilet because this happens. I like to admit.
Well, yeah, sure. Okay. Anyway, so we're back to this, and now that we approved it, we can go ahead and mint. So again, pay attention to the number 36 million. It should technically reduce back to 35. Okay, because it's burning.
I see. Okay. Right. Okay.
So I'm clicking, and I'm gonna mint this number 14. I don't have it yet. It's gonna be 100 VMUs for 100 days. So I click, and by the way, the MetaMask is telling me that it's $100. So
$100 to do. Oh, because
because it's VMUs are higher,
Right.
and that's kind of makes sense. Now on the weekend, in real Ethereum, it's going to be $300. So confirm, and there needs to be a progress indicator, but it's not happening because it's a bug. But in here, you can see contract interaction is on. It's pending. And so once it's done, we're going to see MetaMask flip to, I guess, done. It's going to turn this yellow thing pending will turn green. It will give me a date. And the date is going to be December 3rd. And it's kind of hard for testnet to do 100 VMUs, by the way, because it's slower.
No, actually, I can completely attest to that. We're testing a lot of our wallets on test nets, and sometimes like the transactions can just be weird or slow or finicky on a test net. So
Yeah.
yeah,
By the way, Mumbai from Polygon works faster.
okay.
So consider testing there.
All right. And while we wait here, I'll go into some comments. All right, Jim, right? You can hook me up with a producer. He goes, "Whose stream can I hear? I think it's KG. KG prostate exam soon. That's not a clean flow. I'm not a doctor. Too much trickle. LOL. Sounded hesitant."
He's not a doctor and not a financial advisor.
And then I said I was muted. All Jack. And then Jim Rat goes, Jack. Oh,
That is funny. That
good
is
moment.
funny.
And also while we do wait for this as well, I've got about 10 or so more minutes. I actually have to get on the phone with one of our devs. So
Okay.
I
So
do want
so we're not doing mushrooms?
live on stream. Hey, welcome. This is an 8-hour stream with Jack and KG. We're gonna be.
I mean, listen, we can give FBI some real work to do, right?
Yeah, I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth. And if you're not from the States, that's it's a great line.
Right.
I know you are, but just in general.
Sure. Yeah.
What?
So VMUs are working hard. They're working hard to mint this, but this process is actually much faster on Ethereum. On real Ethereum, it is much faster for sure, for certain.
While we wait, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to drop those. I will ask. Let's see. I'm looking through. Yeah, you guys and girls have been awesome in the chat. I have seen it blowing up. We were just so deep into conversation. Sometimes it's hard to get to the chat and actually shift gears there. So, yeah, that was. And if you missed it, Jack and we dove deep into some amazing.
So, by the way, I know you brought up staking a few times now.
Sure.
So, after we launch XeNFTs, the next project with XeNFTs is proof of stake XeNFTs, where you can actually make your stakes portable. So in other words, if you have 100 billion Zen and you want to stake it for the future, 1,000 days is the max. You can now will be able to swap it and put it up for sale. So future yield, which is 57% over 100 days in total, is very valuable. So proof of stake XeNFTs is going to be bigger than big, bigger than huge.
Actually. Exactly. Yeah, bigger than huge. No, I like the idea of being able to move in and out, and not even for buying and selling. Yes, for buying and selling, but additionally, it allows you to not be stuck in a wallet. What if your wallet was compromised? What if you just want to increase your security and you want to move your position somewhere else? I love fungibility. Yes, this is, or not fungibility,
ability to transfer.
Yeah, exactly.
And making it mobile, so to speak. So you can have this super secret wallet nobody knows about. I mean, technically Tornado Cash is no longer possible, but if it was available, you could have mixed it up and transferred to another wallet, and people would not have been able to trace it. And you can keep it in a different hardware wallet, for example.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
Exactly.
you could have done that. You could have had this super secret safe where all of your stakes are just live there. So
Exactly.
they're made from one, but then transferred somewhere else. Actually, we should be able to do it with the protocol too. Like, you know how you saw that you can mint towards, I can mint towards your wallet, like, and literally airdrop the new NFT that I make to you. So I don't see why I can't do it the same with stake. So I can stake, get an NFT, and have it transferred to you right away.
Sure.
So
So you could have, instead of doing this to your wallet, you could have signed for it and had it just
go to you.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
right.
That would be cool. That would, because then you could have your super secure vault, and then you could just have your, whatever wallet that does this quick and easily. But
Right.
then boom, it drops it into your vault. That's a cool idea right there.
Yeah, give it to a friend as a gift, for
Sure.
example. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I can't believe it's taken so long. Maybe like all of the validator operators taking the day off on a Saturday. And by the way, a lot of people say, "Hey, there's two things that always come up. Really, really funny FUD. First, people say that we made gas more expensive for everybody. It's 10 gwei on the weekend. So 10 gwei is nothing.
It's that's like a
On
block.
average, last year on average, it was 150 gwei every day. So people shouldn't really be crying about having gas to be too expensive, because it's not. Definitely not. And number two, people say that, oh, we're just helping validators to make more money. That is technically not true either, because validators only get tips. So the priority gwei that you specify, usually one gwei, is not that much of gwei that people make. It's like 2%. 2% on average that the validator makes from blockchain in its entirety. So nobody's really technically benefiting, but the whole Ethereum ecosystem is benefiting, because overall, if the whole blockchain system is busy, then more validators can share this 2%, and there's more of this 2% to go around, and the network is actually more secure when you spend more gas. So
Cool.
the insecure networks don't charge any gas. So when we launched on OKX, they had to move up their gas cost between 100 to 200 times than they were, but it was basically free before.
Mm,
And free gas gives rise to abuse.
absolutely.
So gas was specifically designed to stop the network from being abused, so that things are fair. And gas is like bidding system. You bid to be included in a block, and you bid it, and if you're doing something nasty, then, well, you have to bid more. And if you're doing something nasty multiple times, then it's ending up being more and more expensive for you, and therefore protects the network. So gas going up is actually helps everybody, but also it keeps Ethereum cost higher. And you can see, if you look at Ethereum versus Bitcoin, Ethereum has been outperforming Bitcoin by a large degree, even in the bear market. And that's useful for everybody who hold Ethereum. It's useful for the ecosystem, because it higher priced Ethereum makes every new token actually cost a little more, and keeps the new token's value up as well. If Ethereum was always falling, there would be less and less activity on the blockchain. It would be less secure, and anything that's doing any sort of drop, new projects, would not have been getting the value technically as much, because everything is encoded in Ethereum. So you want Ethereum to be relatively stable, and it's been stable. Like over the summer, Ethereum fell to 700, and now it's not 700, even though Bitcoin actually have dropped. So I'm going to take a look to see what is happening on the block explorer.
Yeah, I'm curious.
So it says pending.
But yeah, you're absolutely right, or I believe you're right. Is I do see Ethereum overtaking Bitcoin, at least in terms of market cap, because Ethereum is just where the innovation is. It's where the actual problem solving is. Bitcoin, it does what it does. It paved the way, was the gateway drug, was the OG, whatever, but it's not solving problems anymore.
So while this thing is doing this, and this is the longest it ever have taken. I don't know what is wrong
It's
with the
because we're on
testnet.
stream. It's because we're on stream.
So let's look at the marketplace while we're still on stream. So the marketplace actually lets you see your XeNFT on OpenSea. So if I click here,
Oh, nice.
boom, and it tells you who owns it. So this address owns it. It tells you the serial number. It tells you the address of the contract that actually made it, and it gives you all of the parameters right here, so you can easily see what's happening. So you can see maturity date right there, 2023. AMP is your amplifier, then early adapter amplifier is 10%, and then VMUs is 128. So you know that this one is valuable because it has a lot of VMUs and it has all of those things. And also, if we look at the properties, you can see that, let's say that you want to buy an NFT that's actually has a lot of VMUs. So you can click here and this will load
Oh, that's cool.
the VMUs of 128. And now you, like, let's say that you want this number one, because number one is like cool to have.
Yep.
So you can now find it easily. You can click on this one and you can see what's happening there. So it actually have gotten an offer, it looks like. So somebody wants to buy it from me. So maybe I'll sell it.
I like the logo you chose for Unicorn.
Yeah, yin and yang, because burn and mint, it's two opposing forces.
Yes, it is.
The economic system has to be balanced,
Absolutely.
meaning that there needs to be consumption or utility and production. So first you need to produce, then you need to consume. So this NFT is the first type of application that is consuming Zen and makes more Zen later. So, and therefore we have this yin and yang.
Oh, I see too. Well, yeah, supply and demand, right? Yin and yang.
Absolutely.
I see
Yeah.
here you have when you accept yourself, the whole world accept. Is there a different quote for every one, or how does the quote work?
There is
No
a series.
way.
There's a series of quotes. So like this one, stop thinking and end your problems.
Wow. Dude, that's a cool feature, dude. I like that.
And what about this one? So this one is a different class. You can see that it's redeemed. Be the
Wow.
path, do not seek it.
Wow. Dude, that's pretty cool.
Pretty cool, right?
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that.
So
That's gonna get like, dude, all those little factors like number, quote, VMU, like those just like the other NFTs with like the rarity of the.
oh
You know.
look, it's done. So given that it's done, you can see contract interaction is done. And I promise it's going to be much faster on real Ethereum. So now, if I were to refresh the page, let's see if this new one shows up. So first of all, we're going to look at, see how
Yep.
it went from 36 to 35, because I
It did.
burned. And this new one right here, this new one, 14, the one that was where we're looking at. So you can hover and see it, or you can immediately go to the marketplace.
Oh, it automatically lists it for you?
Oh, yeah.
Also,
Yeah.
well, do I as the user get to select what the listing price is? Like, what if I don't want it to list?
It will always be listed,
Okay.
but you don't have to sell it. So that's how our NFTs work. Any NFT that's made, you can just plug in this address, and it will tell you everything that your address has. So if I get rid of this 14, go to OpenSea, this address, this is my, actually this is the contract's address. So /14 was the serial number of the NFT, but this one should actually bring everything.
I see. So when it gets listed, it's not listed at a particular price. It's just listed.
That's right.
Okay. So that's why it's 0.05, because someone made you that offer.
That's right. And if I click here, it tells me So this is the owner that randomly created, and this is everything I see here is within the ecosystem. So you can choose the one you want. But if you're confused about the multitude of things that you would be selecting, then you can always click on one. Then you say, well, I like this color scheme and I like this rabbit. And by the way, rabbit, you know what rabbit symbolizes?
Possibly.
Take a guess.
Expedience.
The year of the rabbit
Okay.
in Chinese calendar, Chinese zodiac.
Okay, tell me.
Well, every 12 years there's a cycle. So it's like the tiger, the rat, the pig, the rabbit. So the rabbit's coming up.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So 2023 is the year of the rabbit.
Nice.
And you have the bunny or the rabbit. And here it says the real meditation is how you live your life. So that too.
I really like that. That's a nice feature there.
And so again, series, if I click on limited, it will only tell me limited. So all of those are limited. So if they all have rabbits. See?
I see. Okay, I got you because you selected that particular feature.
Right.
Yep.
But I can also go back and I can say that I'm only interested in unicorns because I'm a DGen, OG DGen, whatever, and I really want that one, only that one. So unicorn right there, series, right? So click here, and they're all unicorns.
That's cool.
And they're all numbered. You can see number 2. So number 2 obviously would be more valuable than number 10 because it's it's at the top.
Sure.
This one is number 9, so it looks like somebody's offered 5.5, or maybe somebody just set the price. But I can add it to a cart, and I connect my MetaMask, and then I can submit an offer. So what's really cool about this is that ERC20 marketplace, we all know Uniswap and centralized exchanges, this and that. But NFTs marketplace in a bear market is still extremely vibrant. And if I go to Ultrasound Money right here, and you look at the gas burners.
Oh, wow.
So
Cool.
OpenSea is number 4. We're number 1 for Zen on the burn leaderboard, and we've been number 1 for the last 50 days.
Wow.
So by activity and gas burn, we're number 1. But that's just basically means how active the chain is, and we're number 1 in the chain activity. But OpenSea has also been in top 5 pretty much every day. So if I go and change this 1 day to 7 days and then 30 days, so you can see that OpenSea is still number 4. We're a little bit lower. So Uniswap definitely had more action. You can see that Uniswap has burned $5.5 million. That's how much gas was used to run Uniswap within a month. But CoinTools, Zen Batch Minter, 2.7 million. And then Zen Crypto right here, that's our web app. So you need to combine those numbers together. So CoinTools, 2.7, 1.3. So we're talking about 4 million. And there's one more tool called Zen Proxy. Somebody else made another one. So it's 4 million plus 750,000. So 4,750,000. So we're pretty much number 2. Wow. Because you can see we're somewhere between those two numbers, which is great. And
making or aiding to Ethereum being deflationary. I mean, that's
right. To be. And this is October 8. October 8, Ethereum peaked in its supply. This is ETH supply. You can read it right here. So that's when we launched, October 8th. And since then, Ethereum has been falling in its supply. So we're helping Ethereum to have less supply and therefore keep its price higher. So
bullish for holders.
Very bullish. I believe it's a symbiotic relationship for all Ethereum, not just Ethereum blockchain, but pretty much everywhere, because we exist on 10 different chains.
Sure. And so I guess, do you plan to stop at those 10 or world domination?
World domination sounds very sexy right now.
Oh, well, all right, man. I'm gonna have to end the stream here in just a moment, and I appreciate you jumping on. I appreciate you sharing your open thoughts. Is there any last minute things you want to say while we still have everybody here listening?
Yeah, so everybody's asking when, when
Yeah.
without the H and when with an H. Um, we're trying to make it work really well. We're collecting bug reports. There are a few bugs left. And also OpenSea has changed the rules, like literally November 30th, which is 3 days ago. They have made a change that require us to change the contract. And so we're changing the contract to be able to be listed
Mm,
on OpenSea, which we absolutely have to be because OpenSea is one of the largest NFT marketplaces.
absolutely.
And so that basically means that we need to rework a few things, but we're going to get it done. And also we're trying to spend as much time as possible on streams like yourself to educate people what we're up to so that there's no FOMO. And not only the NFT degens are jumping into it, but also pretty much everybody in the world because we want it to be fair. And obviously, this is Fair Crypto Foundation. Not only we want to be fair with the ERC20 tokens, but also with the education when it comes to NFT creation. And one huge difference between what we're doing with NFTs and how NFTs were done before, generally NFTs are pre-minted and are dropped for people to buy, and companies collect money, millions and millions of dollars. So Yuga Labs have sold $300 million worth of Yuga Labs NFTs, land deeds, I believe. It drops in their wallet. What we do is that we do not pre-mint. We just let people mint their own, which is quite unique. And so, and obviously fair.
Sure.
And we don't force anybody to do anything. If you want to do it, you do it. If you don't, you don't. But our purpose is education of how you do it properly, safely, and with the most insight possible. So even though there's a slight delay due to OpenSea changing the rules, I believe it could be used as a benefit.
I think it's probably better to take the time and build the good, solid product because once it's out there in the world, there's no going back. And so if it takes a little extra time, that's okay.
Right. So a lot of NFTs have the keys and have the ways to upgrade the contract and change it and this and that. So we don't believe in this sort of administrative control. That's not what blockchain was designed to be. And so it's similar to launching a rocket into space. You only have one shot at it, and then it's out in the wild. We have no ability to roll it back.
Sure.
And so we're being extra careful in terms of testing and design and all the bug reports that we're receiving. We just want to do it right. So because we want to achieve the escape velocity.
Understood completely. And I respect you for that approach because we need good, clean, stable crypto products. And I appreciate all the work you're putting in. And by the way, I have Jack's Twitter as well as the Fair Crypto Foundation link in the description. So be sure to go follow him if you've liked what you've heard here today. Check out the website. Anything you want to plug? Anything you want to shill? Any socials?
Yeah, Mr. Jack Levin at Twitter. So DM me. I'll probably get to your DM at some point. We also have a Telegram group, fairly vibrant. There's a lot of information there. Obviously, Jack Levin official, my new YouTube channel, my first one ever. A lot of good videos there too.
Okay. Jack, appreciate you, my friend. I look forward to seeing this unfold and having you on again to continue to hear about the journey.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on. Talk to you soon.
Later, brother.
Bye.
All right, everyone. Thank you for tuning in today. That was an amazing stream. If you missed it, rewind back to the beginning. Jack and I, we deep dove into some what I believe to be amazing and beautiful concepts about what does it possibly mean to be a human here on this planet. Always studying and looking for the answers, if they even exist, to those three big questions. Where did we come from? What are we doing here? And where are we going? This has been another episode of the Crypto Journey podcast. As always, we're going to end the show with the Internet Money Anthem. Oh, and Zen Education, Internet Money launch. We just launched public beta on Android, iOS, and Chrome. You can check out our website in the description, internetmoney.io. We're going to end the stream with the Internet Money Anthem. It has philosophy. It has vibes. It was made by our amazing friend, Bass God. If you have 2 minutes, stick around, check it out. Until next time, peace.
What is cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency is more than just money. Cryptocurrency is a lifestyle, a philosophy, an ecosystem, the means by which human beings to attain financial freedom, not just in the sense of multiplying their investment, but giving humans the ability to interact with money in any way that they see fit. And if that way doesn't already exist, that's the beauty of crypto, is you can create it. And that's what we've done here. Internet money is the future. Internet money is the future. What is internet money, you ask? Well, it's just that.